essentially these pro-choice people are psychotic. They're literally crazy, and they know that they're killing children, and they're comfortable with it. And I think that's my biggest gripe with them, outside of the actual death of children, is that they try to pretend like they're not about just killing babies. Just say what it is. We're comfortable killing babies if the moms don't want them, you know? And so this came out in this bill, which I'm going to go ahead and play the clip of how it was so very difficult. So very difficult for the Democrat who was pushing this bill to just come out and speak about what she was really pushing, which was the idea that you could be a woman on the verge of giving birth in full labor and decide, I don't want this baby, and they would kill the baby. It hadn't broke through the matrix yet, so they were going to kill the baby. Let me go ahead and play that clip.
How late in the third trimester could a physician perform an abortion if he indicated it would impair the mental health of the woman?
Or physical health.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm talking about the mental health.
So, I mean, through the third trimester. The third trimester goes all the way up to 40 weeks.
Okay. But to the end of the third trimester.
Yep. I don't think we have a limit in the bill.
So, where it's obvious that a woman is about to give birth, she has physical signs of that she is about to give a birth, would that still be a point at which she could request an abortion if she was so certified? She's dilating.
Mr. Chairman, that would be a decision that the doctor, the physician, and the woman would make.
I understand that. I'm asking
point.
if your bill allows that.
My bill would allow that, yes.
So the Democratic Party is essentially full of psychopaths. I'm not a Republican, you guys know. I'm a middle roader, but I'm very conservative leaning. And I think, you know what, I think before I can even talk about this further, let's just play what the governor had to say as well.
Let's turn back to NBC4's Julie Carey.
And Governor, as you know, the issue of abortion rights emerges every year in the General Assembly session. This year, no exception. There was a very contentious committee hearing yesterday when Fairfax County Delegate Kathy Tran made her case for lifting restrictions on third trimester abortions, as well as other restrictions now in place. And she was pressed by a Republican delegate about whether her bill would permit an abortion, even as a woman is essentially dilating, ready to give birth. And she answered that it would permit an abortion at that stage of labor. Do you support her measure and explain her answer?
Yeah, and I wasn't there, Julie, and I certainly can't speak for Delegate Tran, but I would tell you, first thing I would say, this is why decisions such as this should be made by providers, physicians, and the mothers and fathers that are involved. There are, when we talk about third trimester abortions, these are done with the consent of obviously the mother, with the consent of the physicians, more than one physician, by the way. And it's done in cases where there may be severe deformities, there may be a fetus that's non-viable. So in this particular example, if a mother is in labor, I can tell you exactly what would happen. The infant would be delivered. The infant would be kept comfortable. The infant would be resuscitated if that's what the mother and the family desired. And then a discussion would ensue between the physicians and the mother. So I think this was really blown out of proportion. But again, we want the government not to be involved in these types of decisions. We want the decision to be made by the mothers and their providers. And this is why, Julie, that legislators, most of whom are men, by the way, shouldn't be telling a woman what she should and shouldn't be doing with her body.
And do you think multiple physicians should have to weigh in, as is currently required? She's trying to lift that requirement.
Well, I think it's always good to get a second opinion, and for at least two providers to be involved in that decision, because these decisions shouldn't be taken lightly. And so, I would certainly support more than one provider.
All right, let's.
So there we go. Yeah. These people are actually insane. And the fact that they're not even brave enough, it's kind of like when we burned villagers to death with napalm in Vietnam, how we called it a pacification project. The fact that they're not even bold enough because they know what they are pushing is sick, because they are not even bold enough to speak to it as to what it is, which is we are just pro killing children in utero. They have women convinced that abortions are a glob of cells. At 8 weeks, that's a baby. It doesn't just have a heartbeat, it has a body and a head and little arms and little legs, even though it's tiny. And once you've convinced a person that killing a tiny little person is okay, it's not a long step before killing a full blown infant is okay too. And that's essentially what they're pushing for. They're saying if it hasn't broke through the matrix, you can still murder it because it's in somebody else's body. And as a woman, I am disgusted about this. I don't think the government should have the ability to tell a woman what to do with her body. But I do think the government has a right to tell us that we can't kill other people. And essentially, I don't care what women are doing with their bodies. I care what you're doing with the body that's in your body, with the life, the living being that's in your body. And I just keep pushing for sexual responsibility because at the end of the day, keep your freaking legs closed if you don't want a baby. Because every time you engage in sex, whether you're on birth control, whether you use a condom, whatever it is, you run the risk of becoming pregnant. And so for a woman to sit there and be the face and literally say, as if she had never thought about it in those terms, because maybe she hadn't, that a baby could be crowning and a woman decide to take that child's life. Our world is becoming a disgusting place. You have people doing sick things. Honestly, from transgenderism to abortion. As the baby crowns and gets ready to enter the world outside of its mother's body, his or her mother's body, we're willing to kill whole people. It's just insane. I don't know what to say. And Jezebel, I mean, the site lives up to its name, right? It's called Jezebel. So what did we expect but for them to do a spin piece where they try to make it like the bad guys aren't the people killing millions of human beings. The bad guys are the people that would kill the people that kill millions of human beings. Make that make sense. How was Hitler's death a victory? But in the other case, it's unjust. As a Black woman whose community is heavily affected by abortion, because there are Black women who are choosing to murder their own children, because most abortion clinics are in neighborhoods where people look like me. The face of genocide is an ugly one. And no matter how many hell-faced people push for the furthering of the ability to murder our young, I can just never see that as right. It's disgusting. Jezebel has it backwards. And Virginia can just be added to a list of other states like New York and other states who allow for late-term abortions, who allow for abortion at all. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play a clip at the end of this that I have separate of an abortion doctor speaking on the truth of abortion. And I'll talk to you guys later.
This investigation of Planned Parenthood is based on false premises, one after another after another. It's time to stop wasting time, get on with meaningful work, and stop picking on women and trying to take their choice away. I yield back the balance of my time.
The time of the gentleman has expired. We welcome our distinguished witnesses today. Do you and each of you swear that the testimony that you are about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And I'll now begin by introducing today's witnesses. The first witness is Dr. Anthony Levatino. Dr. Levatino is a board-certified obstetrician gynecologist. Over the course of his career, Dr. Levatino has practiced obstetrics and gynecology in both private and university settings, including as an associate professor of OBGYN at the Albany Medical College. And Dr. Levatino, we'll begin with you. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the committee. I only have 5 minutes, so I'm going to get right to it. Second trimester D&E abortions performed between roughly 14 and 24 weeks of gestation. Your patient today is 17 years old. She's 22 weeks pregnant. Her baby is the length of your hand plus a couple of inches. And she's been feeling her baby kick for the last several weeks, but she's asleep on an operating room table. You walk into that operating room scrubbed and gowned, and after removing laminaria, you introduce a suction catheter into the uterus. This is a 14 French suction catheter. If she were 12 weeks pregnant or less, basically the width of your hand or smaller, you could basically do the entire procedure with this. But babies this big don't fit through catheters this size. After suctioning the amniotic fluid out from around the baby, you introduce an instrument called a Sofer clamp. It's about 13 inches long. It's made of stainless steel. The business end of this clamp is about 2.5 inches long and 1/2 inch wide. There are rows of sharp teeth. This is a grasping instrument. When it gets a hold of something, it does not let go. A D&E procedure is a blind abortion, so picture yourself introducing this and grabbing anything you can blindly and pull, and I do mean hard, and out pops a leg about that big, which you put down on the table next to you. Reach in again, pull out an arm about the same length, which you put down on the table next to you. And use this instrument again and again to tear out the spine, the intestines, the heart, and lungs. Head on the baby that size is about the size of a large plum. Can't see it, but you pretty good idea you've got it if you've got your instrument around something and your fingers are spread about as far as they go. You know you did it right if you crush down on the instrument and white material runs out of the cervix. That was the baby's brains. Then you could pull out skull pieces. And you have a day like I had a lot of times. Sometimes a little face comes back and stares back at you. Congratulations, you just successfully performed a second trimester D&E abortion. You just affirmed her right to choose.
One more question, Dr. Levatino. Why did you end your practice of doing abortions?
I did over 1,200 abortions over a 4-year period in private practice, not counting the ones that I did during my training. I met my wife during my first year of training at Albany Medical Center. We got married about a year later and found that we had an infertility problem. After years of failed infertility treatment and several years trying to adopt a child, we were blessed with adopting a little girl that we named Heather in August of 1978. As sometimes happens in those situations, my wife got pregnant the very next month, and we had 2 children 10 months apart. 2 months short of my daughter Heather's 6th birthday, she was killed in an auto accident and literally died in her arms in the back of an ambulance. Anyone who has children might think they have some idea of what that feels like, but unless you've been through it yourself, you have no idea whatsoever. I know people find it hard to believe, but what do you do after disaster? You bury your child and then you go back to your life. And I don't remember exactly how long it was after my daughter died that I showed up at Albany Medical Center OR number 9 to perform my first second trimester D&E abortion. I wasn't thinking of it as anything special. This was routine to me. But I reached in, literally pulled out an arm or leg, and got sick. You know, earlier on I described stacking up body parts on the side of the table. It's not to, gross people out, to use a simple term. When you do an abortion, you need to keep inventory. You have to make sure you get 2 arms and 2 legs and all the pieces. If you don't, your patient's going to come back infected, bleeding, or dead. So I soldiered on and finished that abortion. And I know it sounds, as I said, hard for people to believe, but I'm telling you straight up my experience. After over 1,200 abortions, first and second trimester up to 24 weeks and all the rest of it, and being very dedicated to it, for the first time in my life, I really looked. I really looked at that pile of body parts on the side of the table. And I didn't see her wonderful right to choose, and I didn't see all the money I just made. All I could see was somebody's son or daughter. And I stopped doing late-term abortions after that, and several months later stopped doing all abortions.